After a Christmas break for our crew, which wasn't much of a break for many of us, we're back on with 2 episodes this week. Why not start off with a Pixel 4a bang? This is the Android Police Podcast.
It's Monday, December 30th. Welcome. I'm Ryan Kaplon alongside Cody Toombs. And as you heard, we're going to be talking about the Pixel 4a leak. This is the first time we know for sure, I guess, that there's some possibility of this phone happening. I think we all kind of expected it because the 3a was such a big success for Google. But now there's actually something to talk about. So this is another one of those leaks, which, if it's anything like the others, comes from a leaked CAD render, and then he makes the renders that you are looking at. These are not actual like press renders, but they're usually pretty accurate. I can't think of an on-leaks render that has been completely wrong.
Yeah, the only time I'm aware of was one where I believe the phone itself was actually changed and like old CAD renders were sent out or something like that. So yeah, it's usually pretty spot on.
Yeah. So this phone, it looks like a Galaxy S10e, right?
I guess from the front it certainly does. The rear, of course, resembles basically kind of a merger of the 3A and the 4.
It's a third gen and fourth gen Pixel like stuck together. Yeah, so it's got a hole punch camera on the front. It's in the opposite like corner of as it is on the
it's in the
S10.
It's in the notification side.
Yeah. But I mean, I like that the bezel looks pretty symmetrical all the way around. It's just a tiny bit bigger on the bottom. I vastly prefer this style to the Pixel 4 that has the giant top bezel. And then on the back, it looks like it just has one camera sensor, right? It's got a camera sensor and then a flash in like the opposite corner, but it's still like a big square module.
Well, that's what the render shows. To be fair, it's really unclear whether or not the CAD drawings would have included exact camera placement.
Yeah, that's always kind of unclear. I think that varies from one to the next because we saw that Galaxy S11 thing a few weeks ago that had like the camera modules like all over the place, and I can't believe that somebody would say, "Yeah, we'll just guess at the camera modules and put them in these really weird places." But then the newer one supposedly was based on an actual like final hardware rev, and that one had them lined up.
Yeah, and it's also possible that different vendors are given different versions of the CAD drawings because a company like Moment obviously needs to have actual camera placement, whereas most of the case makers really don't need specific camera places. They just need to know exactly where the module is so that they can create a proper cutout.
Yeah. So this phone, it's got a fingerprint sensor on the back, so there are no face unlock sensors, which I'm fine with. Honestly, I think the fingerprint sensor is fine, and it'll actually like work with all of your banking apps, unlike Face Match. And there is still a headphone jack. So I mean, I gotta tell you, I feel like Google's gonna see a lot more success with this phone than they did with the Pixel 4.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. I know most of AP has generally not been completely on board with the Pixel 4 decisions. I'm personally a big critic of Face Unlock, so I agree. I like having the fingerprint sensor a lot more. Obviously, headphone jacks and such a win with anyone in the community these days. So yeah, this is definitely going to do much better.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if this phone is anything like a 3A, it's going to have so much of what makes the premium Pixels good phones that, I mean, and if it costs half as much again, it's kind of a no-brainer. Like this would be the phone to buy if you want to buy a Pixel. Hopefully Google, if this phone comes out and it is again significantly more successful than their so-called flagship phone, maybe Google will get it through its head that they need to like reevaluate the way they are designing Pixels.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I'm always on board with adding new features and experimenting with things, and motion sense I think is a good idea in general. How they implemented it may not have worked out so well, but it was a nice thing to see them trying it.
Yeah, I
But if
mean,
this phone is missing it, I don't think too many people are really going to
oh
care.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, motion sense. That's like a. I mean, that's sort of associated with face unlock, but it's a different thing. That's the solely sensor. In case
Right.
anybody does not recall, that's like the radar thing in the phone. There's obviously no room for that in this device either. But yeah, that be interested to see if that sticks around on Pixel phones because we're what like 3-4 months out now, 3 months since they announced the phone, and its motion sense still doesn't do anything else. It's still just like the same 2.5 things it did at launch.
Yeah, and they're still not even confirming that developers will really get access to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, outside of those couple of developers they partnered with up
I mean
front.
it's yeah. I'm worried that like we're and like I think after about 6 months we're gonna do like an update on how motion sense is developing, and if the answer is not at all, then I think Google is kind of in trouble there.
Yeah, a little bit. But it in other regards, this model, at least based on what we have so far, is likely just sticking with the one rear shooter. So they're going to get rid of that extra telephoto lens that was on the 4. I'm not sure that that's really going to bother too many people. I I don't think it was really that big of a deal to get to have a telephoto in there. Um, it, do you shoot much with the zoomed in view or zoomed in
So one of the
perspective?
things that I do really like about the Pixel 4 and 4 XL is that when you take a picture, like it doesn't differentiate between the two lenses. You just zoom to whatever you think looks good, and the processing is so good that it works. I mean the Pixel photo experience is still the best of any phone. I think it's still better than the iPhone. It's definitely better than any other Android phone. And I mean, that's definitely going to be not as good on this phone. Like if it only has one sensor, like it'll take, I'm sure the pictures will be fine, but you won't be able to take good pictures from as far away because you don't have any optical zoom.
Yeah. In general, from everything I heard, and I don't have a 3A to base this on, but I've heard nothing but good things about the camera quality coming out of that phone. So
Yeah, it's basically the same as the Pixel 3 was.
yeah, as
Um,
long as they hold to that same standard,
yeah, I
I'm
mean, so
sure the
much of
4A is going to be good.
so much of what makes Google's cameras good is the software, and they can do that on any phone as long as it has like a reasonably good camera module.
Yeah. And so just for anyone who may be curious, because this is always kind of a bit of a hot topic, apparently they're considering purple or orange as the third color for this phone. Assuming there are only 3 colors, you never know, they may go 4 this year.
So the orange Pixel 4 is still like my favorite looking.
Oh,
It's so good. It's so good.
I'm not a fan.
Oh,
Though
I
I
love
haven't
it.
seen it in real life,
It's
so
so good. It's this delightful like sort of coral kind of orange. It's so nice in real life. I enjoy it very much. I would like the Pixel 4a to come in that color, please.
I'm still a fan. I still wanna see something in kind of a dark blue,
Yeah,
but
I liked the first gen Pixel that came in the really blue color. That was fun. Yeah, Google has like leaned into these very subtle, not great colors for the last couple of gens, except for the orange Pixel 4, which is great. Again, by the way, and anybody who disagrees is wrong.
oh, so anyway, on to less happy times. Apparently, Wyze has had a bit of a data breach. Uh, a company called 12 Security has done a post about a database breach on Wyze. Those of you who aren't familiar, Wyze makes basically smart home cameras, lighting, various other gadgets. Anyway, the data breach has affected or includes data from 2.4 million accounts, mostly from the US, but also covering United Arab Emirates and a few other countries. Um, the data included things like device info, the nicknames given to devices, account logins, and the tokens used to attach to the devices or attach devices to the accounts, uh, Wi-Fi SSIDs. That's the name or the nickname on your Wi-Fi. Uh, in some cases, it's included personal health data. So if there's a product that's tracking certain things like protein intake and bone density, which I guess, according to their statement, apparently that's beta, like a beta test kind of situation.
Mm.
Um, and actually quite a bit of other pieces of data. Anyway, all of this stuff has apparently been leaked. It was available on an unsecured database, actually two databases. And in response, Wyze has actually wiped all of the account logins, effectively, basically making everyone re-log in and reconnect all of their devices. So, bad time to be a Wyze user, as it were.
Yeah. So the leak, it didn't, I mean, it didn't have passwords in it, but I guess just out of an abundance of caution, they decided to do that. They claim that this was just a mistake. An employee accidentally copied the database to some other unsecured server, but it was available for a couple of weeks. I mean, while I don't think the data that was revealed is particularly troubling, it's troubling that it was available at all. You would hope that a company who has any video of your home is very careful about what they do with the data.
Yeah, and those who followed Wyze in the past would know that about 6 months ago they had a similar, or not a similar issue, but a different issue where resold Wyze cameras were able to could be used to view um, where they currently were by people who had previously owned them. And in other words, if you bought a camera from somebody else, the original owner could basically see through your camera even after the account was reset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I mean, even though it wasn't like there wasn't like a giant repository of all of your camera footage available, like this, I mean, revealing that much account data, like you could still give somebody some way to get into your account, perhaps, maybe. But since they logged everybody out, I would hope that's not a problem. Um,
Well, those specifically those account tokens, actually, if somebody went to the trouble, they definitely could use those to connect to devices and view through them. Or at least I'm pretty sure they could, unless there was also like a redundant account level uh, block, which I didn't see any implication that there was. So I have a feeling that could have been used, but that's that's why they cleared all of this. So all of those would become null and void.
yeah, I mean, Wyze is probably the first like small startup kind of company that's using a lot of this really cheap hardware to try to get a foothold in smart home and surveillance that you hear about. Like they're trying to really become like a name people know, and there are almost uncountable like cheap security cameras available on Amazon from a bunch of companies you've never heard of. And I'm always a little bit uncomfortable with those. Like I don't want to set them up in my house because I don't know anything about these companies. They could have far more secure or far more severe security breaches than Wyze did, and we might not ever know about it because they're just not popular enough for people to go looking. But who knows?
Right. And actually, to that point, 12 Security also noted that a lot of the data going to Wyze was also passing through Alibaba in China, which, take that how you will. Some people would consider that pretty questionable and may involve like sales of data or possibly even implications of spying. Whether you do or not, obviously that's your choice, but it's certainly interesting. And also, 12 Security actually disputed that claim, which, by all the evidence, sounds like they're possibly lying.
Hmm. Well, so I don't know. If you've got a Wyze camera at home, maybe you want to like reevaluate what it's pointed at. Just in case, just until we're 100% sure that this is all worked out.
Well, at the very least, you should probably make sure it's not pointed at your keyboard when you're typing in passwords.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I can't imagine why you would do that in the first place. So I think
I,
that's
I, I mean,
probably,
I'm kidding,
I think you're
but
probably safe.
yeah, it's these days. It's always worth being a little bit more careful, a little cautious, and just consider what those cameras are pointed at. If you don't have implicit faith that the company is treating your data well.
Indeed. Okay, well, let's take a quick break from the news banter and talk about the Android Please podcast, and Twitch, which is the thing that we stream on 4 times a week, usually, not this week. There are 3 podcasts and a Q&A show every week. We can't keep doing all of those shows unless the people out there listening and watching help to support it. And the easiest way to do that is to subscribe on Twitch. Tiers start at $5 per month, but if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you don't even have to pay any extra money. You get a free subscription every month with Amazon Prime. We have instructions on the page to help you set up the link between Amazon and Twitch, and then you just give us that free Amazon money. You do have to do it every month, so please do remember to resubscribe. We have all of the details for this at twitch.tv/Android Police. And now we will return to the show and yell at Samsung.
Yeah. So we had a post. Corbin wrote this, I believe, earlier today, or posted this earlier today. Samsung basically has a really bad habit. It's had this for quite a while. Basically, what happens is if you take a screenshot, it goes into a subfolder within the DSIM folder. Those who may not know or have never looked at it, the DSIM folder is where all of your photos go. And it kind of makes sense, if you take a screenshot, it's another image you're putting on your phone. The problem is you combine this with Google Photos, which also likes to back up the DSIM folder and any subfolders. So the end result is anytime you take a picture or a screenshot on a Samsung phone, both of those are going to get backed up to Google Photos. Now, why does this not happen anywhere else? And actually, to be clear, it actually definitely does happen on some other phones. But the reason this doesn't happen on most other phones is most other phones put your screenshots into a completely separate folder. It actually goes under pictures/screenshots instead of DSIM/screenshots. So yeah, basically as a result, it clutters up your Google Photos backups. Seeing as you're on a Samsung phone, you probably don't have free unlimited photos, or original quality unlimited. So this could actually be cluttering up and taking up storage. Basically, it's kind of a bad habit. And the real problem here is Samsung doesn't give you any way to control where your screenshots go.
Yeah, Samsung still takes JPEG screenshots too, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, that's true. That it does. Yes.
Yeah, that I think is a bigger problem than the Google Photos backup for me personally. I mean, I actually kind of like to have all of my screenshots backed up automatically. Like one of the most important things for my workflow is actually Dropbox backups, because it grabs screenshots like in addition to photos, and they back up so fast. It's so convenient when I need to take a bunch of screenshots for a post. But Google Photos is slower, so I don't really use that anyway.
Yeah, for those of us who work in this and we're taking screenshots on literally like dozens of times each day. Honestly, like backup in this case is both annoying and awesome because we really want the syncing. We really want fast access. So we're not just manually moving every screenshot from a phone to our computers. I'm not sure how much this necessarily applies to everybody. I think there are a lot of people out there who probably never take screenshots.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people do though, like just to share things that have happened, because that's easier for them than like taking like getting some sort of like sharing the original content from like a Facebook post. They'll just take a screenshot of the Facebook post and like put it on some other network.
Okay, yeah, that you hit So I already had two ideas in my head for where people took screenshots all the time. One was text messaging apps, which is
Yeah,
kind
that
of the
that
same as
too. Yeah.
Facebook. The other one, very weirdly, I've seen a lot of people take screenshots of Google Maps and share those, which I've
Yeah.
never really
I think
understood.
I
But
feel like, yeah, that I could see that too. Yeah. I mean,
but
there are like links you can share in Google Maps, but they're not super accessible. I mean, screenshots are just convenient, but I think most people don't take enough of them for this to be a serious problem. It's just like it's like an ongoing annoyance and has been for years, and it would be very easy for Samsung to fix this.
yeah, and in general, this is another one of those examples of settings. While you should always have smart defaults, there's nothing better than having settings so you can just control all of these things from the start. And plus, it is notable, Google Photos will actually ask you if you want to start backing up additional folders when it sees them. So this is one case where Samsung really could just move the screenshots to another subfolder and it wouldn't really hurt anything. At least not for Google Photos. There may be other apps that care, but I can't think of too many that won't accept something outside of the DSIM folder.
Yeah. All right. Well, did we get any questions at all in this show? I think it's been pretty subdued. Everybody's still like sleepy from the holiday. So okay, all right. Well, then in that case, I guess we'll wrap it up. Cody, you wanna take us out?
Sure thing. All the topics we've talked about today can be found at androidpolice.com/podcast. We're live 4 times a week at twitch.tv/androidpolice, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. You can send us an email send an email to podcast@androidpolice.com. On Twitter, Ryan can be found at Ryan Whitwam. I'm Cody_Toombs. That's TOOMBS. Our producer, Jules Wang, is at Point Jules, and our theme music is by Home. We'll be back tomorrow with the Q&A show. And on Thursday, Sherilyn Lowe from Engadget is going to be joining us. Until then, have a happy new year, and thanks for listening to the Android Police podcast. We'll catch you after the hangover.